Marzz here, my man B. Smithsonian at the Institution Inc. And we're here for another episode of the home studio circuit. Just want to lock in with you guys and show you that making music is possible, whoever you are, however you grew up. So if you want to just let people know a little bit about you and how you got into music and started this musical journey and building this whole studio.
Right. Well, I've been producing since my first music program was Magic's Music Studio in 2004, so I was 15 then.
Okay.
So probably just about to turn 16. So that was around the time when it was just the music box. Fruity Loops didn't come out yet.
Right.
Yeah. So I already had knowledge of it because I already knew I wanted to produce since Noriega came out with the Super Thug joint. I don't know if you heard of that joint, but it was like Neptune's one of their first joints. So hearing the Neptunes have the live percussion and stuff like that, that's when I knew that was like kind of like my style because like the J Dilla or the Q-Tip style of what was out back then, what was real banging. You feel me at that time? Yeah. Having Neptunes come out with the style of J Dilla of the unquantized feel to have it with real percussion. You know what I mean? So that's when I joined the band and McKean. I wanted to get formally trained. Well, first I actually joined the East Side Steppers. I drummed with them, drummed with Victory Steppers. I was in that whole circuit. Then I got trained at McKean, so I learned how to write drum music. So when Magic's came out, they still have the piano roll on there. You can actually transfer that to music notes, and that was the only way I knew how to write. Yeah, so I had to. Yeah, I started like writing out my music notes for my first beat. I still remember it was about what's his name? Mike, man. He went by M. Dot back then. It was called SQ, and I was at my sister's house and I wrote the music notes out.
Like actually writing the notes.
And
that's crazy.
Yeah. That's the only way I knew how to like translate the style. To know when the snare comes in on what beat, on what note. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really know how to read melodies yet, but it was mostly just drums.
It was just the arrangement of percussion.
Yeah.
That gives you a lot of idea about, how to keep a beat, and how to just keep things fresh, you know what I'm saying? Dropping different snares or hi-hats in those little pockets that some people don't think about.
And also at my homie's house, D. Gray, we started making music together when we was 16.
Okay.
We started making music on his keyboard, so I learned how to sequence. McKean had the NPC there, so ever since 11th grade, we've known how to sequence on multiple DAWs and sequencers. And
I wish I had any kind of studio set up in my high school.
It
was like the year after I left is when they set that back up in our school system because the music was not funded, the art was not funded. Right?
Yeah, that was kind of like the last year of it.
Yeah.
Like around the time we graduated.
Y'all got just the last. That's crazy.
Yeah, because I actually went to Delcastle and I had to go to McKean and drum for them, but I still was a student at Delcastle. But I was drumming for another school.
A whole different school just to get the experience you wanted. Delcastle just not up to par, or they didn't even have that.
Oh, they just didn't have the music program. I mean, everything else they had, I was getting my video knowledge from there. But as far as music goes, it was that. So by the time I graduated high school, I didn't even want to do video for a while. I was just in school doing music.
Okay. So that was everything was since high school. You just started doing video, music, everything at once. Okay. And so then after high school, what did you do after that? How did this progress into you building your own studio?
Well, around that time, home studios wasn't really a thing.
Right.
Back in 11th grade, my dad told me about the Magic's Music Creator, so that was the first time you could make beats at your home computer.
Right.
And then I went to Art Institute of Philadelphia, and the what do you call it? The orientation. They were like, you could come in and learn the same systems that Jay-Z uses, Pro Tools, and at that moment, it's like I saw that on RZA documentaries, and you're like, whoa, you get to learn. My stuff's gonna sound like crazy because before I used to make beats on my tape deck. They used to have you remember those hi-fi systems? Used to have the speakers like this big, and you could make a beat and record it to the tape deck, and I would go to the next tape deck, play over that and add to it. So to have Pro Tools was a crazy thing.
Yeah.
So once I known that, it was like anything else they were teaching. Like I had to take VFX classes, videography classes. You had to analyze movies. I forgot what that class was called. Like 1950s, 60 noir movies and shit like that. I didn't care about none of that shit.
Right.
I wanted to make music. I almost failed a lot of classes.
Damn.
Like my last project for video was me talking about a toothbrush in my pocket. And I made a song about it. I didn't care.
Right.
Like I just wanted to do music. Yeah. At that point I had I got a job after 3 months of living there, so I went straight from high school. So I was able to make a lot of money. I stole this. This came from a jazz club in Philly on I think 14th and Locust, and I just stole it. Yeah, I stole it. Yeah,
it's like the same thing I started with, the same little rips in the pop filter. Like,
actually, this pop filter, I bought this in college. I bought this Spider in college. I never had to upgrade it. Yeah, and that's another thing. I know you're gonna talk about upgrades. It's like I only get upgrades when I need them.
Right.
I've had these speakers since how long? Like maybe for 8 years.
These Alesis monitors?
Yeah. I had them for 8 years, and that's because I have a sub too, so I'm not really pumping a lot of power out of that.
These are nice though. You know, like they really don't have wear and tear much at all. Like just on the corners a little bit, but like sound quality has not deteriorated.
Oh yeah, because I moved from college to here. You know, my old band director gave me that. The one who taught me how to read music. So he gave me a lot of shit. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's you get the upgrades when you need them.
Right.
You know, that's where it started from. Just being in college, I got a Roland XA. I got a credit card for like $1,500, and I bought that, and that was like listening to Swiss Beats back then, having all the sounds that he had.
Right.
It's in that keyboard too. I still use it till this day. I mean, at the jam session, you've probably seen TJ play on it.
Yeah, he'd be rocking out with that.
Yeah.
Any sound he want.
Yeah, so it was a good investment. Yeah. Started out on a bunch of shit, man.
Yeah. Well, so like coming out of high school then and like getting a job, what was the first like purchase for you that like made you think, okay, like I'm gonna run a studio? Like my old roommate, he was a real smart dude. He engineers websites and stuff. Back then I used to use his computer for magics because, you know, I didn't have my own home computer. Right.
And he was just telling me, yo, I can build you a computer. Let's just, you know, build it up. So we went to newegg.com. I know people don't really go there much anymore, but Newegg had all the computer parts. And back when I was using Windows, Pro Tools just came out with a $300 set. That was the first time anybody could use it instead of just Apple. So we just built the computer for like, I don't know, maybe $500 or less. And that was back then where to hook a computer up, you had to get the what do you call it? The attachment. It looks like the same thing as like a CD player. You know what I mean? And
I know what you're talking about.
And you're putting it right into the computer. This is before interfaces had a standalone system.
Right.
It was you had to hook it up into there. You had to build it.
Right.
You know, that was the only way to do it back then. So I think that was my first computer that I had built was my first real purchase. Then I got the Roland XA.
Okay, and that was just like, all right, now I got what I need to at least start.
Oh yeah, I mean you research what's his name, Rick Rubin, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna have my own studio in the dorm room. Back then that really wasn't being done.
Right.
You know what I mean? I had the mic in the closet and stuff like that. Like, I can buy this shit myself. I mean, it was being sold at Sounds Up at Darby back then, so I just used to go to 69th Street and just buy a bunch of stuff.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, the equipment is not hard to come by, and it's like you said, like 20, 25 years ago, like right before you was getting into this, there wasn't none of, I mean, it was just, everything was analog, and, and even when you started getting into like making music in high school, it was still in that age of like this stuff was new, you know what I'm saying? Pro Tools was like new, like Auto-Tune was like,
exactly.
They was doing everything like literally, like you said, piece by piece, plugging it, building their own system, plugging it in. And that's, you know, that's a skill that I can't wait to acquire, but it's crazy because, you know, producers in this generation don't have to start like that at all. They can literally just get a Mac for, like you said, like $600, $800, like and it has everything you need.
It's a blessing that you're teaching people how to start their own studios and you have a studio yourself.
Right.
Because in business, you're always going to have somebody who's starting from the ground up, who needs studio time, and then they progress beyond that. What I really don't like is a lot of studio owners acting as if they're the gatekeepers, and they're not. You know, because back then, you know, a lot of people was coming to my studio recording stuff that I didn't necessarily want to progress in. You know what I mean? So I would tell those rappers, like, wait a minute, why do I got to record all of your songs and you got like 1,500 reps? You only got 8 songs recorded. You need a laptop or you need a desktop. You get this. I was telling them everything that they needed. But a lot of people, they're not real tech minded. You know what I'm saying? They're not really into that type of thing. So for now, for it to become... but now it's becoming a thing because now it's starting to become a more of a mainstream thing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But back then it was like, oh, what are you talking about? I could just go to the studio for 40 an hour. But it's like that builds up, or you could have just bought a $500 computer.
You're right. For me, like I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to go spend 40, 50 an hour at the studio because I knew I was going to take like all day to do stuff. And I was just like, I don't got the money for this, you know what I'm saying? I came out of college with literally nothing, in debt, and like working at Pac Sun like for minimum wage. So I was like, I can, blow all this money and make music, and like at that point the music has to hit. So then I have to spend money on marketing. I got to brand myself. I got to get dope videos, all that. Whereas I could, I took all that money that I could have been using for that stuff and just build a studio, like literally piece by piece. Like you said, when I got that laptop, I was just like, all right, this is it. I had the mic, I had the interface, and I was just kind of like, all right, I need something to use for this. Got a laptop for school because they give out them good school prices. Apple.com be giving out that school financing, and I was just like, let me get that like you said, the iMac Pro or the MacBook Pro, and it's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I have had friends that worked on iMac for like $200, had $200 computers running like hundreds of songs through there. I've done it. I had $300 Windows computers, and then I had to rebuild them, build them back up. Yeah, so you can do it.
The computer can give you some issues sometimes. We're dealing with that right now, but but yeah, that's the most pivotal part of the studio, and I feel like that's an empowering thing, right? Having your own computer is like, all right, now I got my own studio, and you're right. I did just put out a video about upgrades, the first upgrades you make to the studio. So like, what was it that was a stepping stone to get into this large capacity of equipment? Like,
oh man, I mean, where do I start? It was it
was all one at a time. It was just like you kind of got them piece by piece and learned them, or like
before the jam session, I was barely getting by. I mean, I had people trying to come over and pay. I mean, you look at the average studio, it's just a computer and a mic, really. It's you know what I mean? But I had good closets back then. Right. They would come over for that. But back then, I didn't really have too much going on. Nothing but my Roland XA. That would really be the biggest thing.
It was simple for a while, okay?
Yeah, because I really was trying to make beats and make songs off of that just to have a way to, record it. It wasn't until the jam session started popping off. Me and George had a lot of loud sound. Right. We were DJing together. We were just like donating. Like I would get the speakers, he would have the DJ set, I would have the computer, then he got the computer. Like we were just helping each other out. So after the jam session started building and we started doing gigs outside of the jam session, we were able to get gigs. We were able to, I was able to build back up my DJing skills again because out of all those parties that we did, I would have to DJ for 3 hours. So George would let me borrow his DJ set until we was able to buy our own. And, the what's this called? The Tractor S. What is it? I think it's the S4.
S4.
Yeah, it's the newest one that they just came out with like maybe 2 years ago. Okay. Yeah, so as soon as we started buying that, George let me get the Machine Studio. Yeah, I've been trying to buy it from him for years, and he finally let me get it. So, because he wasn't really using it that much. He uses, that's the thing about us. We exchange equipment all the time. I've given my sequencers out to people before, let them hold keyboards and all that stuff.
I've definitely let people hold some stuff before, and it usually don't come back to me. So.
Yeah, but we just, go ahead, keep it. But the major thing was when I got fired from my job, I just took a chance on myself and spent $11,000 on the whole business. I bought the Behringer DAW. This is the X Touch Universal Control Surface. It is a DAW reader. Right. Yeah, I think right. Yeah. And I bought the.
So it works just like like a whole analog, mixer.
Yeah. You get the touch when you're mixing. Yeah, you can. I don't have to use the keyboard at all. Right. I can just undo, save, everything's on there. Yeah. And then you got the L12 Zoom. I can multi-track record up to 12 inputs. So I can actually record a whole band. I use it for my sound gigs as well. I use it for yours, for your gig as well. So and we also have like 5 outputs, so I could record surround sound for movies.
Right.
I'm in the process now of getting 3 more speakers. They are really expensive.
Yeah. Those top of the line speakers get up there. Really, but I mean, you see that with all kind of equipment. Like mics are the craziest to me because it's like they'll be like 100 to 300, and then it's like $3,000 plus. Like and I'm just like, what do you need to spend $3,000 on a mic for? You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. Yeah, it's really not needed. I think nowadays with songs, you're making songs through the Voicey app. You're making videos through the what do you call it, Triller or Thriller app?
Yeah, it's a Triller.
Triller app, yeah. So it's really about the feel of the songs. Yeah. A lot of those beats on Voicey are already mixed anyway. Yep. So it's really not difficult for the algorithm to dictate how loud the voice needs to be versus the beat. So everybody's spending so much money on a fancy studio. I mean, they really need to stop and really focus on the feel of their material. A lot of songs you hear on Apple, it has the feel first versus the quality.
Right.
Sometimes you hear songs that sounds a little rough, but the feel brings you through it. You're like, man, this sounds like just their sound. That's what it is now.
Right.
You create your sound, you got it.
Yeah. Nah, people will accept you, as long as you bring something new and interesting to them. If they can bob their head to it, then they're good.
Exactly.
So you talk about like not being too fancy. What is the one thing out of everything that you got here that like you would say is your favorite piece, or like your absolute like essential?
Definitely the DAW control.
Yep.
DAW control is so essential. I don't know why all the studios don't have it. Some studios have like the 1-track DAW control, but that's too much. You gotta press the fader arrow to the left or to the right too much. I mean, this is like, it makes you look cooler. I mean, I remember one of my college professors said, always use keyboard shortcuts because that makes you look cooler. For like, the video projects that we were doing. But for music, it's the same exact thing. But when you have DAW control, it's like 20 times better. I mean, it makes you look so much more efficient.
Right. People are like, how are you controlling the computer? Don't worry about it.
Exactly. But this Tractor S4, oh my goodness! Like, I wanted to be a DJ since I was 16. I've learned under DJ Big N. He used to go to school with me. He taught me a few times. But Shorty T really gave me a lot of lessons.
Shout out to Big N and Shorty T.
Yeah, they're legends. And this actually spins as a record, so how I was taught, it really helps me a great deal because it's not just like your average CDJ or controller. It actually spins like an actual record, plus it has haptic feedback. So if I set a cue point and I want to scratch, it has a vibration to it. Go ahead and feel it. Like, so you feel it right here, that's when the song starts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Okay. So it's like a real DJ set. That's like my second favorite one. Okay. Yeah, so I can like add scratches to some of my beats and stuff like that. And of course this Machine Studio, man. I mean,
just anything that's an all-in-one. It just basically lets you control everything from the piece of equipment itself.
Exactly.
And those are the most daunting to like learn, but once you learn them, your workflow just goes.
Well, it's over now because now you got the MPC Live and Native Instruments just came up with their own standalone beat making machines where you don't need the computer. So now it's like the studio's even getting more automated. So now I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to
crazy.
make that, because that could help me out with my gigs. This
Yeah.
can't help me out with my gigs. This is a standalone thing for your home.
Right.
You know what I
I
mean?
need to check into that. That sounds
Exactly.
pretty crazy.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Well, shoot, we're almost done here. I just want to get to the real nitty gritty and ask you, like, as an upcoming artist, there was probably times you wish you got some advice or a little help here or there, and it didn't happen for you. I know that happened all the time for me. Like, just shut down, things fell through. But we're all about giving back here. So, like, what is the one piece of advice you wish you would have gotten that, like, you would want to pass on to anyone listening to this?
I'll say two things. The first thing is to learn tech. Like tech events that happen once a year, you have to be on all of it. You know what I mean? You have to just learn tech, not just for music, just for everything. Become interested in it.
Right.
So when you become familiar with the jargon of tech, then you'll end up looking for better tech for your studio.
Right.
And I mean, I ended up following that because I've had great people like Just Blaze and Swiss Beats and Neptunes. They talked about this, and I studied it.
Right.
And that's the next thing. You have to study. You have to study the culture. You got to study the music, like all forms of it, not just rap, but everything. Because in our hip hop culture back in the '90s, we had house, we had rock, we had punk. All these things kind of culminated into us to make what you see of Mos Def.
Right.
That's a few different styles. You know what I mean? That's the culmination of learning your craft. You know what I mean? Instead of just watching one person that you became inspired by, you need to become inspired by 15 people.
Yep.
Because you're only as good as your inspiration. So what if you have 15, 20, 50 different inspirations, unlimited, then you'll be able to come better than yourself versus becoming better than somebody else.
Multiply your knowledge pool.
Yeah, that's
all,
it.
It's all about variety, and if you can't bring a variety of different flavors to the table, then eventually you're gonna be tapped out. You're gonna tap yourself out. Someone's gonna overwork you, and you're just gonna feel like this ain't fun anymore. So that's important, right? Staying curious, like keeping up with the tech and the culture and like everything about music and producing. You gotta stay interested in it,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
And if you're not interested in it, then pack the studio away and go do something else for a little while. Come on back to it, because this is really it's a passion-driven industry, 100%. Artists, producers, all of them. Anyone who's out here just for money at the end of the day isn't making it work, to the fullest of their abilities.
Right.
They might be making their little bag on YouTube or whatever, but it's a lot to be had in this music industry. You can do anything you want, not even just with artists, right? Getting into making soundtracks for TV shows and movies and all that. Everything is a paid opportunity as long as you learn, all the different things you can do.
Yeah. And also the knowledge helps you from becoming too old too quick.
Right.
Because if you only over obsess in a certain genre or a certain style that's popular right now, I mean, thinking about it, Lex Luger, his triplet hi-hat sound became so popular, we still use it almost 15 years later.
Right.
I wouldn't say 50, I'll say 10 years later. It kind of got popular in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe 12 to 13 years. That has a breaking point. If you don't know all of the styles that where music could go, and if you're not, like you said, updating your knowledge on the new tech, then you're going to get old very quick. I mean, I know producers that came to my studio still tracking beats out through the keyboard. You know what I'm saying? It's that's why your music sounds like it's from 2007 versus 2017, 2020. You know what I'm saying?
It's the reason we have all this beautiful equipment, right? It brings clarity.
Yeah, but I mean, even then, just overusing the equipment, like you said, you just get the laptop and the mic. Like Timberland said, what you can make happen with that is wonders. It's all about your field. That's the knowledge. Yep. It has nothing to do with your the type of equipment that you have. It's the knowledge and what you think you can do with it.
Knowledge is power.
That's it.
100%. Well, I appreciate you, man. This was dope. Again, it's my man, B Smithsonian. We're here at the institution. You can follow him on Instagram at B_Smithsonian.
Mm-hmm.
All right, it'll be right here, right next to him. Go ahead and check out his link in the description of this video. It'll all be down there so you can hear his music and everything. Check out his DJ sets. See the videos that he produces. This man does a lot of stuff. And we couldn't dive into all that because we would have spent hours here, but I hope you guys got some good information out of this. And if you like the video, thumbs up, subscribe, comment any topics that you want us to discuss, and I'll see you at the next video.
Mm-hmm.
Peace.